And we called him Bob the Cop because we didn't know what his last name was. But you knew if you got in trouble, you didn't want Bob coming to your house. Because that meant you were in serious trouble. But Bob cared about you. He knew everything about you. And he really, really cared. And now as an adult, Benny is my Bob. He's so compassionate, and he's just a great guy.
Probably understanding as well.
Very, and I think that that was a really, really excellent place to put him, is in the public works.
Where did you grow up, Diane?
I grew up everywhere as a Navy brat.
Really?
Yeah, I came to Bowie from South Boston.
Wow.
But I lived always in, like Los Angeles and Brooklyn, New York, and Corpus
the fast-moving cities.
not nice places, yeah, a little tough places. So so that's how Bob was so important to us.
Really?
Yeah, he was very important.
So I just asked you, what are some of the changes you want to make that you haven't done, or some more additions you want to make to what you're doing? So you want to continue working with the children, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
The kids are our future.
The kids are our future, and they can't get enough. We can't give them enough of ourselves.
Yeah.
So that is going to forever be a passion, no matter where I am or what I do, is to just make sure that they're safe and secure and learning.
They need to learn. If I had one thing I could ask for, and that would be, I would be able to help every child who goes home to an empty home, a latchkey kid who they're the ones that can easily be influenced.
But 10 or 15 years from now, they're not going to remember what you had on today. They're not going to remember your shoes or what kind of car you drove or anything. But they're certainly going to remember if you made the difference in the life of a child.
If you made a difference in their lives, yes.
And so that's why we really need to help the kids. I went on a ride around with the police.
Yes, I saw that. How did you do? Did they try to flirt with you?
Oh, yeah, right. I'm older than I'm their mother,
Well, what happened when you went on the ride?
It was really an incredible night. It was rainy, and it was just a couple weeks ago. It was Saturday night, and they said it was a slow night. After 3 hours, they were ready to go someplace else, and I said, I got to tell you something. I'm pooped. I got to go home. I was exhausted. I don't know how they do what they do day after day and continue to smile and be the kind of people they are. We went on so many calls. I mean, we started out,
Here in Bowie?
We're just going to patrol. And then, if you're over here by City Hall, how long do you think it's going to take you to get halfway across town?
Oh, a long time.
Or then if you're over there and you get another call that comes in and you have to go to Huntington Bowie. So when you're thinking of response time, you got to think it's going to take 20 minutes to come from 214 to Huntington Bowie.
Yes.
Minimum 20 minutes. But there were several accidents, and there was a couple of domestics, and there was an attempted suicide. And I have to tell you, these police officers are so compassionate.
Bowie police?
The Bowie police are so compassionate. My heart just swelled with pride that they could see this day after day and still have compassion and not become hardened to it, And all I kept thinking, especially with this woman who was the attempted suicide, aren't you so lucky that it was the Bowie police that came because of the compassion that they have. So I just, give a shout out to them. And Catherine is an excellent, Catherine Perez, an excellent chief of police because, she trains them.
Right. Was this woman older woman or a younger woman?
She was an older woman, yeah.
Violence involved?
Well, probably in the past, I don't know. I know she was having problems with her husband, but it just the fact that here she was, and they found her. The Bowie police found her, and just the compassion that they have is just unbelievable.
It's amazing that someone can almost lose their life, and somebody there in a heartbeat can save it.
Yes, well, that's it. They saved it. Yes.
They care.
I mean, they could have walked away and said, "Oh, well, you know what? You're not worth saving. You're almost gone." But they didn't. They stayed, and when the ambulance came, she was breathing on her own. So.
Well, I guess you can't say anymore. Would you try to take pills
No,
or something?
no, I can't say anymore. But it was just, I just want to say that they're just an amazing group of men, and I am very, very proud of every one of them. And now I'm going to tear up and cry.
No,
so.
It's like when I was talking to the mayor a while ago. I was sitting at a red light, and I had 2 cars behind me, and then a Bowie police car behind that.
Yeah.
And it was a carload of kids. I don't know if they were on drugs or alcohol, but they just came speeding down. They ran the light and thought, "Oh, we're okay," and boom. Bowie police car managed to get across and got them just like that.
Isn't
Diane.
that
I said, "You go."
They're going to learn not to fool around in Bowie.
Yeah, they think they can get away with this garbage, but they can't.
It'll take some time, but there, you know, the thing is, for so many years we had no police coverage.
That's right, we didn't.
We had 4 police officers from the county, and there were some days we had none.
Exactly.
Because if they were ill, or if they were on another call, or if they were at court for something, there were some days we had 0 coverage.
You know, I used to think that Bowie wasn't important.
Yeah.
We weren't important enough to have anybody worry about us. That's what I felt.
That's what I used to. Well, that's what you felt.
That's what I felt, because there wasn't anybody there to help.
But to see our Bowie police cars driving down the road, that is such a wonderful thing.
It's a secure feeling. You know you're going to be okay.
Well, so one of the things that the council is doing, and I had introduced this to the council, and we'll be signing an ordinance on this soon.
Really?
Is that for any of the police or fire, EMS people who have been injured in the line of duty and who can't work, who have had to retire because of that, we're going to give them a break on their city taxes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Good girl, Diane.
So I feel good about that. If I don't accomplish another thing, that was really good.
You accomplish so much every day.
Yeah.
You're always there when I need you. If not, you hear me crying, you'll call me right back. Okay, let's go to this question. I learned from the mayor that the city does not have its own land authority. How do you feel about this? What's your
it's very, very frustrating.
Why?
Because we're smart enough to have our own land use.
Yes, we are.
And if anything is within a mile of the city, that developer is supposed to come to us and talk to us and get our approval, even if it isn't in the city.
Okay.
All right, so now we're a mile out, or even if we're in the city.
Out of the city limits.
All right, so now we're out of the city limits, we're a mile, and we say, we don't really care for that, and we give them suggestions on how to make it better. They can leave us and go out and do whatever they want anyhow, because the county has approved it. So I think they're just coming to be a good neighbor. The other thing is, even if they're in the city limits and they come to us, because they're coming to us to be a good neighbor. That's the only reason I can figure out they're coming.
Maybe they feel sorry for us.
I have no idea. But they'll come and they'll bring their project, and we'll look at it, and we'll make suggestions. And the next thing you know, well, you know what? It's going through the way they brought it to us to begin with. And, you know, how frustrating is that?
Awful frustrating.
And so, I've been a proponent for our own land use forever. And the problem now is that there really isn't any place left to build, so we need to start revitalizing some of the older areas. Aren't we going to have a say? Again, we have no say in what goes in our city?
Well, we should, because we live here, we pay the taxes here.
Yeah, and so it's very frustrating. So we just keep plugging and keep trying to get that legislation passed.
Okay, another question I asked the mayor, I'm going to ask you. Bowie University plans to put student houses and business on their property. Won't this cause problems with 197?
Oh, well, you know, yeah, it'll cause a couple of problems. I think, first off, that I'm very excited for them to have this project.
Especially fire and EMS, that would be great.
Because, you know, I've been in Bowie long enough. I remember when it was a white clapboard building.
Well, I remember when I moved here 25 years ago, it was so quiet. I'm looking now where there's buildings that used to be mud. You had to actually go off paved road to get to Bowie University. Really?
Yes. And now they have grown. They're beautiful. And had we allowed that trash transfer station to go through, would they be able to be expanding the way they are? No.
No, they wouldn't.
So as far as the project, I think it's beautiful that they're needing more housing for the students.
Yes.
Because the students do need a place to stay. That means I'm growing.
Yes.
But I am very concerned with what will happen to Route 197. The amount of traffic it'll put on Route 197. I'm concerned with the shops that they're talking about putting in there.
Such as?
Well, you know, just little shopping and little coffee places.
Little coffee houses?
Yeah, and little eating establishments. What is that going to do to the businesses in Old Town Bowie?
probably
you know, they're struggling as it is.
They're struggling as it is to keep their head above water.
And so I have a concern about that. And then I have another concern about the police and the fire and EMS. I mean, you know, because we're spread so thin now.
Yes.
With the problem with the firemen and the paid firemen. So I really,